So, good morning, everyone. I'm Janis, and I'm representing, I would say, one of the longest-lasting student organizations in Estonia, also the only ones that have been building like crazy satellites. And I would like to talk about the most interesting and I think most passionate subject for everyone, which is education. I think everyone has an opinion about education, how bad or not bad it is. So, yes, so I'm joined together with very important people, I think, in not only education, but also cybersecurity. Dr. Adrian, Dr. Antti Tamm, and Kristiina. So, can you talk a bit about yourself? What is cybersecurity for you?
Okay. Well, good morning, everybody. It's a delight to be invited here. By way of background, I am the manager of the Cybersecurity Masters Program at TalTech, and the program is undergoing a major refresh that will start next year. And as part of that refresh, we are introducing a new course which is devoted to space background technologies for our cybersecurity graduates. And this is based upon the view that space and cyber is often considered a joint domain, and that the threats, as we've seen to Europe, to the West, from our well-known adversaries are very current and very severe, and that grand ambitions of space not being militarized and space not being threatened is really a dream, and that we need to set about securing the space domain in the same way that we secure any other environment that we work in.
Good morning. So I'm the head of Tartu Observatory, which is an institute of the University of Tartu. And in terms of education, so we are responsible for actually all the courses at Tartu University which contain the name space or astro or anything in that direction. And in this aspect, of course, if we're talking about cybersecurity and space, then in the University of Tartu, we should be thinking about it. My own background is actually astrophysics, so not directly space technology or cyber, but there we are. But the question actually, what is cybersecurity in space for me? Very simply put it is that if I operate a satellite, then I want that it follows only my orders. And if I get data from there, I expect that the data are accurate, or the data that it is actually measuring, and not something put in there by somebody else, and that the data goes only either to me or those whom I have licensed it to go, not to anybody else. So that's space cybersecurity for me.
Good morning. My name is Kristiina. I'm from the industry side, so I'm from CybExer technologies. The ones who were present here yesterday also maybe noticed something going on in the room next to the dining area. There was a cybersecurity competition taking place. So every day what we do in the company is that we train people. We started our actions in the military domain because the need for the education, further education and training in the cyber domain is just great there, and the amount of people they need to then provide the trainings to. But what is cybersecurity is, and especially in the space domain, I think we should start, and there have been also many discussions here, first of all, understand the weaknesses in the space domain, that also the cybersecurity risks are there and need to be addressed. Because honestly speaking, coming from the cybersecurity perspective and seeing the discussions about the risk management, usually the cybersecurity risks in the space industry or discussions are not in the top 3 and maybe even not in the top 5. So you have all the physical risks and so on and so on. But the more we have the businesses and our lives, and maybe not consciously dependent on the space assets. So I think, first of all, the awareness, but secondly also the expertise to understand and address the cyber questions in there.
Excellent. Yeah, from our point of view, I think it has always been fun to build satellites. So not always, it hasn't been that fun to think about the other end, which is the cybersecurity part, especially as building a satellite is one thing and then operating is a completely, let's say, different thing. And I think the cybersecurity part definitely comes more, not only in the second part, but also we need to think about the first part. So I think a bit of a controversial question. Why do we want to focus on space cybersecurity? But there have been so many problems about cybersecurity in general, data leaks, data not protected. I think every Estonian wants their data be protected. Why space?
Well, I think to start with this, we've seen in the last couple of days, space has unique attributes, and we are very reliant upon it. Without the timing signal from GPS, our position, there are huge issues. And so space does need to be protected, but also, and I'm sort of preaching to an audience who already understands this, space has unique elements, and the cybersecurity of space is different from other elements. The fact that a satellite might be in orbit for 20 years, I mean, how many of you are trying to secure computers that are 20 years old? There are different elements, so there are unique attributes that need to be included and involved with securing the space domain. And also, as we just understood, the understanding and the awareness of how important cybersecurity is in every aspect of the space sector is maybe not fully understood by everybody working in the environment. So there's both the educational aspects of boring people like me saying cybersecurity is really important and it's going to cost you money and you need to consider it in your design, and it may mean that things don't work exactly as well as they would be if you didn't include security, and all those different aspects, and talking about risk. Adding those elements is going to cost time and money, but needs to be something that we're aware of, and then making sure that we have people who work in cybersecurity are aware of the unique attributes of the space domain and can consider that in designing their cybersecurity products.
I would just add that in terms of education, maybe one important aspect is that through space we can attract maybe young people more easily. So if I asked you, Janis, why did you go to space engineering rather than just engineering, then probably it was just more attractive.
Yes.
And the other aspect is maybe that if you can say that I can do it in space, you can probably do it on the ground as well. Yeah. So if you, for example, if a company can say that I have an ESA contract, I can do ESA grade engineering or ESA grade business, then it means I'm a serious partner. So I think that's the answer.
Maybe our story and why how did we land in the space industry is that since we started from the military, and then at some point military started asking, okay, but where are the space elements? So we need them to have the full picture, but also for the critical infrastructure. So the space components are there and need to be taken into account. As Adrian mentioned, space has a lot specificity. We also saw it yesterday when the competition was running. Many of the participants who were there yesterday were already capable and had practice in the regular cybersecurity, but the space domain was new for them, and they had also a lot of questions when we ended up and did a hot wash-up for them. So we went through the questions and discussed, so how does it go, or what's... So it was new, they had questions, and it's something that needs also a specific training and materials, and just it doesn't come with a general knowledge of the cybersecurity. But having said this, there's a great share of traditional cybersecurity also relevant for the space. So you need them both. And those are maybe the components, and that's how it comes together, and we should discuss it. But last thing also is that specific to space industry specifically is that you have in the value chain for one service many different aspects. You have the satellite, you have the and services provided by different components. So it's a whole chain which has to function, has to be first of all operational, but then also cyber secure. So but having so many players there in one chain also creates additional risks.
I think that's a very good point, in that if we're trying to secure our own computers at home or our companies, generally we know and understand the infrastructure, and we think this is the bit that we are securing, this is where we need our data looked after. But in every space industry, space environment, and space project, particularly in ESA, you're looking at international collaboration. And that makes things much more complicated, in that not only do you have this supply chain of lots of different companies, but if you have many different nations involved as well, that makes security much harder, because you've got to engage with so many different people to make sure that the whole project is secure, because unfortunately our attackers and our adversaries are really good at finding out where the weak link is. And one particular bit may be absolutely secure and may be fantastic, but if it's connected to an element, to a nation, to an industry, to a project which is not secure, that's where the adversary will get him.
Yes, I can share my feelings about yesterday, which I took part in this competition, and as I am space engineer and mostly focusing not on the software but on the hardware, it was a very eye-opening experience for me, because I knew some bits and pieces of how computers work and how do you access them and so on. And it was, I tried to attempt to break these systems, and it felt very secure. I saw that, I can't access, I can't do things that I want to do, but the other guys, they just did it like it's nothing. So it was like, oh okay, I need to think about this more and try to implement this more in our way, how we educate and how we train our people, because we train by practice, and I think this sort of an experience that I had yesterday is very, very good practice to know what you know and what you don't know. But yeah, I think then we can move to the educational part, because, and I think the audience also can try to ask questions. If you don't want to speak out loud, we can then try to answer your questions and also comments, because we want to make education better. So then I think my question then is, how do we make Estonia a mecca of space cybersecurity education, so the people would come to us?
Well, I think Estonia already has an extremely good reputation in cybersecurity. We read in the papers constantly that we are under attack from our neighbor to the east, and that the number of attacks each year seem to increase. And as a result, we are very good at cybersecurity, and also we are very aware of it, perhaps more than other nations that aren't perhaps under the same spotlight as we are. So we have this reputation, we have this digital society, we have this awareness and this understanding of the need to be secure. And so we can build on that within the space industry and within ESA and say, well, Estonia, we already have that cybersecurity element. We already have an involvement with space, with Tartu Space Park and the industry elements. And so together, we can combine those and start to develop more in cybersecurity and space, and linking the two together with the aim being that everyone in ESA, when they think of, cybersecurity, they think, Estonia is the place to go. And so I suppose we should all be ambassadors for Estonia, cybersecurity and space, to spread the word that if you want to do cybersecurity, you come here. And that's why we're starting to develop courses at TalTech specifically on space for cybersecurity professionals. So people will graduate from the course and already able to move into the space industry.
I very much agree with you, and I think in Estonia the basis is very well there to make it a mecca for cybersecurity in space. What we're maybe still a bit lacking in the eyes of maybe foreign people is that they don't really see that we are that well doing already in space domain. So we're expecting much from your student projects, student satellites, make us more famous in these aspects. And then what else we have is, well, often it is a drawback that Estonia is so small, but in terms of networking, it's an excellent place. So we are all here. So all the key players are here. So let's do it. It's doable. In a bigger country, it's not that easy to get all the key players together.
If I may add, so if we want to become the Mecca, then I think we have really good basis for this. So Estonia is already, and I apologize also all for the military references, but in the military, we already are a Mecca for the cybersecurity trainings and exercises. We have the NATO CCDOE here, so which makes a few things a bit in favor of us. So it's easier also to grow into expertise of cybersecurity of space. But having said that, this also means that we need to start doing it. We need to start doing it, but also systematically. So when we want to grow the expertise, also from the industry side scene, so we need to have enough available and also tangible. What we do as a company, we also work a lot with the people before they enter up in the curriculums. One of the things we do tomorrow in Tartu is the Cyber Battle of Nordic Baltics. So to give the opportunity for the people before they make the choice for a university degree or course. So to have the opportunity before to consider this as a path or something exciting, and also give some experience and confidence to join up in the educational curriculums.
I think always it's a case of publicity. In addition to having a space element in the cybersecurity program, we have an aspiration, and we're looking to network more broadly within the EU at universities which are offering space-related courses. So satellite design, astrophysics, rocket design, and offering a cybersecurity element to those courses. So perhaps it'll be a summer school, a winter school, where people come to Estonia and they learn about cybersecurity in a space environment. And so we're looking at space for cybersecurity people, but also cybersecurity for space people. And I think that will be a very strong opportunity to both bring people to Estonia, which is always a good thing to see what they can do here, and to spread the word that if a university anywhere in Europe is doing a specific technical course, they think, well, rather than do cybersecurity ourselves, we'll learn that bit in Estonia and they'll come to us.
Yes, let's import more Latvians.
We can already export Latvians. But I think one of the opportunities for Estonia is also indeed that if you look at the curricula worldwide, actually, there is no, or very few dedicated courses on cybersecurity and space. So there are sometimes some short courses, like a week or two. So they think probably that that's enough. But if you really want to go into detail and into practical work, then it has to be a longer course. And this can be quite unique here.
I agree, and we've looked into this, looking where else is space cybersecurity taught, and we've entered into an arrangement with a memorandum of understanding with the Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University in Florida, and they are doing exactly what we at TalTech hope to do. I mean, they're specifically aeronautical and space and air anyway, but they have a space cybersecurity course, and they are really doing for NASA what we at TalTech would like to do for ESA. And they're a little bit further advanced than we are, but we're hoping to build a strong relationship with them. Certainly, Florida's a nice place to go to, and I'm looking for the government to send me there to do a liaison visit. But ultimately, building that relationship with universities who are already working in that area is great. Unfortunately, our relationship with the university had to pause a little bit because they were in the path of the latest hurricane, and the university was flattened somewhat. So we're waiting for the rebuild before we go and visit them.
Okay, then I think we now understand definitely space cybersecurity education is important. So then who's going to do it? Is it me? Is it you? Is it you? Who's responsible? So is it only academia? Is it companies? Do we ask companies to do this? How government, I think Paul was here as well.
I think this is a partnership, and I think this is a very good first stage. I think government's role is to pay for it. And from our perspective, yeah, universities, we can teach TalTech the sort of the academic cybersecurity side. Tartu's got the practical experience of the space park, and then with industry as well, teaching the industry elements. I think a partnership where we sort of collaborate, and there's a sort of smooth understanding that students would have an interest in it. They'll start to learn at university. They'll then move on to the practical aspects and move into industry. And I think a sort of staged throughout a career, always there's that cybersecurity aspect. If we're working in space, is the way to go.
I mean, a bit more generally, how does a university work, or how does the academia work? So how do the curricula and courses come about? I think there are several ways. So the best way usually is that you have science at the university, and the scientists, they know that these are the hot topics, these are where we're experts, we teach these things. And in this way, you probably get the best education out of it. But in this way, you can sometimes miss some fields which are strategical, needed by the private sector, or the government sees that you need some more things which the scientists don't realize. So this push has to come elsewhere from the government or from the companies, and then we can set up something. It's not based on science yet, so ideally we would also do science in this to excel really in the education. But science can sometimes be added later. If we are already teaching, we can raise our level, and then we see what is actually there to research. So yeah, it has to be, in the case of space cybersecurity, it has to come from elsewhere, because at the moment we are not researching space cybersecurity, I think, neither in Tallinn nor in Tartu.
Right. Yeah.
So industry, as always, is a bit impatient. So why didn't we do it already yesterday? And I'm quite sure if there are anyone with a technical degree, would be there anyone with a degree already in space cybersecurity, those people would be hired before they receive the diploma, or at the ceremony latest. So the industry actually needs those people already. This is also general for the cybersecurity. So, and that's why we see that we need to offer also, from the industry perspective, have something that's that builds this stability, that builds the structure, and supports the knowledge sharing and building. At the same time, we need things that are more tangible. So when you already are in the industry, the cybersecurity is already handled one way or the other, also in the space industry. So, but if there would be tangible courses that would be provided to the ones who already have gone a master's, already have a master's degree, and do not wish to engage themselves for 2 years for another degree fully, but something smaller, they could attend, be it then a semester or less or more. But so I think there's a need after this kind of courses and further education. So it was asked in a previous panel, so who have read the Estonian space strategy. But one thing what's clear from the Estonian focus in space is the cybersecurity aspect. So I think with the institutional support, but not only support, also clarity on the regulations and the standards and the expectations for the industry. This will bring those three parties together. So first of all, the clarity on the requirements, standards, then the educational institutions' ability to support these needs and courses, and also the requirements from the industry. So those three come together in this, maybe.
I have a question to Adrian. Has the industry come to and said that, look, we need this cyber security in space?
Not so much industry, but academia has. So I went to a conference on the education aspects, And there were lots of presentations by universities saying, well, we teach this, we do the rocket science, we do the satellite design, but nobody did the cybersecurity. And that really sort of initiated sort of my view with the government on, well, this is where Estonia can step forward, operating that niche element. Now, from the industry aspect, it gives me a good opportunity to plug one of my master's students, and I can't see her here. Is Elif here? Hiding. I have a master's student who is doing her thesis on conducting a training needs analysis for the Estonian space industry. So she will be going round industry, everywhere, and essentially talking to the companies to understand what they already appreciate about cybersecurity within their aspect of the space industry. And then, as a result of her thesis, she will be putting together the components that a course will consist of. And that will be essentially the cybersecurity for space people course that we hope to run either as a sort of summer or winter school to bring together industry and to educate them on the cybersecurity aspects. Because at the moment, I think we have a bit of, well, we don't know what we don't know, but also, unfortunately with cybersecurity, it's often a case of, well, it's not a problem because we haven't been hacked yet. However, within the cybersecurity industry, it's a case of, well, chances are you have been hacked, you just don't know it because adversaries are really good at hiding themselves. And so promoting the element of risk and also what you have to lose in terms of intellectual property or sabotage is considerable. So we are looking at that, and we are promoting the element of bringing industry in and raising the profile of cybersecurity.
Maybe to add on this note, and also, so if it's offered and how much is it offered? Also, lately being at the International Astronautical Congress in Milan, so we had an opportunity to discuss with several universities out of Europe the topic, and quite often it is that yes, we're building up the capabilities in the university. We have a lab X, Y, Y. Okay, and as I come from the cybersecurity, then I also ask, okay, but do you have also a curricula or a course for this for the space cybersecurity? We haven't really thought about that. I'm like, okay, so I see also, or I hench the ability to, if we have something meaningful to offer also out as an export article, this could be that.
So I think, as Adrian already mentioned, there is already plans for the short term, thinking about how to do it, what to do. But what about the long term? Like, how do we keep it alive in Estonia? Because when the novelty wears off, then students get interested by other things. How do we keep cybersecurity in space active for a long time?
That's your job. So keeping the Estonian space industry prominent, certainly having the satellites. I mean, that is really interesting. That's going to really infuse people. And so seeing that Estonia is active in the space environment will keep students interested. I mean, clearly, space is interesting, and certainly you see well, Elon Musk and his fantastic rockets and what they're doing. I mean, that is just superb advertisements for the future and what is possible. And so that in itself is going to make people think, well, actually, I could do that. I want to be involved with that. And then essentially we ride on that bandwagon to say, yeah, that's really good, but how are you going to secure it? How are you going to make sure that satellite, that rocket isn't hacked? And so we have to look at what's going on in the wider world and the global space industry, and emphasize the fact of, don't forget the cybersecurity bit, and cybersecurity equals Estonia, and this is where you need to come to do it.
So what you're saying is that after like some amount of time, it would be that you would say Elon Musk, but instead you would say Janis Dalbinš.
Absolutely.
Building S-Cube and building suits.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
right.
now I know what I need to do.
You know where to go.
Excellent, thank you.
I think it's a very critical question is actually that how do we keep it running for years? So at first you might attract a bunch of students and it makes all sense, but eventually I think Estonian, if I can say so, education market is too small. So if you have 3 or 4 students per year between 2 universities divided, then it's clearly too few. So we have to, as you say, export our competence once we have built it. First we need to build the competence, then we can export it. So we need to bring in students from elsewhere, and
Absolutely.
maybe not to directly to the curricula, but we can build the system around. We can deliver micro degrees or just specialized course for if you are, I don't know, Airbus employee and you need to take this just this one specific course, you're welcome, and of course you would have to pay for it.
I can't agree more. I mean, this is something where we need to work together as a community to promote every aspect and to attract people to come to us. We are too small a market to just have our own domestic students. We need to be advertising more widely. And the country in Estonia, we're very good at soft power, very good at projecting ourselves onto the world stage. And so those of you who have come from abroad to Estonia working with ESA or wherever, we're already in this space, we are moving forward. And so rather than sort of inventing it yourself, then help us to become that mecca to develop the capability for everybody.
I think there's so one thing is the students, of course, and Estonia is not the most highly densely populated country in the world, of course. But if we do it and we have in a vision the wish to export it, then I think this is the way to approach it. But the second question is the content-wise. If the question was also about the content, how do we keep it up and living this, whatever we offer, then I would say that the real life, as close we are to the real life, the less we have to worry about keeping it up to date. Because the best information we have on the space cybersecurity is about the vulnerabilities that have been discovered by one or the other party. So this is also how it is in the real life, and like the national search, for example, or any search. So you get immense information on the attacks against you, and you can build up or renew the content. What I would see is, there are different providers of different trainings, and also in terms of cybersecurity. Coming from the industry, providing the technical platform, I would say that let's not forget about the essence of practical dimension of the courses. So it's good to know the theory, but sometimes, and also what we Estonians have been doing well since 1991 is learning by doing. Also that you practice and you learn in the real life. Also yesterday, so you went without any theory, you were thrown into the practical exercises. So let's have a good balance in between theory and practice, but let's not forget about the practical, because I have the feeling that we have a lot more competition in providing the theoretical courses, theoretical materials than we have in the technical and practical labs.
Absolutely, and I think your bit is hard. It's easy in universities, we just stand up and we talk about stuff, but actually doing it for real. And I know you have your own range, and there's a space range being developed here, the government space range. So that practical element is really key. So yes, we can train the students, and then we pass them on to you to be taught the more difficult technical aspects using real world examples. So yes, we're a pipeline. They come in at the beginning with us, and we hand them over to you, and you take them on for the real world environment. Yes.
But in terms of what we would be teaching, actually, it also has to be very relevant.
Absolutely.
To them, so
yes. So that two-way flow of always talking and you saying, well, look, your students coming to us, but they don't know about this. We need to then include those in our courses. I say it was one of the questions which came in. How do the courses remain relevant? Well, our adversaries keep them relevant by keep inventing new and exciting ways to attack us, and we need to take those lessons and incorporate them into our courses. And in that respect, when I started doing cybersecurity, I had no grey hair, and the grey hair developed just keeping up to date with the number and imagination of our attackers to get into our systems. So yes, keeping relevant is absolutely key.
And that's where Estonia probably is again a very good ground for this kind of activity, because we can reach out to companies, we can reach out to student satellite foundations and organizations, so that who have practice in building satellites, who have also cybersecurity expertise. So we need to do this.
Absolutely, and that is the advantage of a small country. Generally, you either know the person or know somebody who does know the person. So we should build these networks and keep them talking. Absolutely.
So everyone wants to do both then, practice and theory, because it's, I think, important. Otherwise, as I experienced yesterday, practice is not the only way how to do things. So we need some theory as well. So maybe then we can talk a bit about the questions from the audience about specifically this, how to grow the number of female cybersecurity engineers, as sadly engineering field is majorly dominated by male students and male engineers. So what do you think about this?
If I can talk about our experience, so we have done for a few years already this cyber battle format in Estonia. Now it's cyber battle of Nordic Baltics. And we have constantly the challenge of the female participants, because there's the numbers of male participants always outrule the number of female participants. So we have done also a specific dedicated boot camps for the girls, just to give them the opportunity separately first try it out. There are some girls who are excellent without and have no fear to jump directly into the competition with the boys. But at some point it might make sense to have a separate track, at least possibility to try out it before they go in. So also that they wouldn't, when they try out, wouldn't be directly in the competition already, but this would be more like, it's okay to come here and practice. We will not select today any winners. So I think there are some dedicated courses or opportunities for the girls to try it out before they end up or enroll in the engineering courses.
That's absolutely key. I mean, we've tried to look at this within TalTech, because in the bachelor's and the master's program, we do have a number of ladies coming, but the numbers are always much smaller. And we've tried to address this. And the way to address it is to go into the high schools and to school children, and essentially to get the schoolgirls interested. And a bit of research, bit of discussion, realized the only way to do this is to essentially have all female groups. Because unfortunately, if you have a mixed group of boys and girls, the boys will always tend to be dominant, because that's what boys are like. But if you have groups of all females together, they will grow and they will develop, and they will suddenly realize that, yeah, this is great, and we will spark the interest that continues on. So this is not just a space area. This is getting ladies into engineering and into maths and into cybersecurity, and it really starts at the high school level. It's before they get to the university stage.
I think we can agree that we have had this summer project called Teadusmale, where we attract high school students, and quite a lot of members that eventually have grown into either SQ project or SUTS project actually have come from this high school activity. So I think, yeah, I agree that that's one good way how to do it.
Well, you already saw from the astronaut competition the big interest of girls in space. So it's not that tricky actually, but the key is to give them something. And I think also student satellites is one way to do it, because there is a considerable fraction of females there. Yes. And once a schoolgirl or a university student female sees that, look, there are these nice characters already there,
absolutely.
I can also do it.
I think role models are essential, and growing a few key people who can say, hey, I've succeeded and this is what I do, that's what we need. Role models for the ladies at school, and bring them through.
But it also applies to general cybersecurity. Sorry to say again that the cyber battle we are going to do tomorrow is that We will have a live show in Telia channel, and I think all of you can, or in many of the countries, you have a show about dancing competition, singing competition, I don't know, maybe cooking show. But how many actually engineering shows we have in a TV? How much do we give as a society back to the ones interested in engineering, as when they are students, that this what they do is also cool, especially when you are behind the computer, the cybersecurity enthusiast in the school. Do they also get the competition and the attention then back that, oh, I want it, this is cool what I do, it matters. And it's not just behind somewhere in the computer and no one sees you, so it's a wider question, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, it's much broader than just cybersecurity.
So then, I think this is a question for me almost.
Yes.
How do you see educational satellites having a role in future cybersecurity? And I think it's a very important thing to consider how to make satellites cyber secure, because we are actually coming into a new age of software-defined satellites. And as there have been already successful satellites in space that basically are the same kind of satellites as we are making, they are running computers, more or less. We're running operating systems that we run on our computers, which means all vulnerabilities of our computers become vulnerabilities of satellites. So I think that's why building smart and great software-defined satellites can actually be one way how we can still use student programs like Student Satellite Foundation or even Kulgur to educate on cybersecurity in a practical way. What about?
Speaking about practice, then I think if you're building a satellite, it probably stays in orbit, hopefully for years. So you must be very sure that also all your components, hardware components, they are secure. That you need to know where you got them from actually, and that there is no backdoor in the chip that you purchased. So, but otherwise, yes, software engineering in student satellite is very important key for our educational activities if we are going to plan them. So
one of the things that the American University, Embry-Riddle, were talking about is they have a simulator where you can simulate hacking a satellite, and it comes in a suitcase, and you can set it up in schools. And essentially, it looks fantastic, and they've had it made specifically. But you can essentially, rather than hacking a computer, you are hacking a satellite, going through all the unique elements of that communications link and bespoke hardware and all these other aspects, and having that as a competition in a safe environment to pretend to be hacking a satellite, that is very appealing to the students and very different. So I'm hoping to get my hands on one of those when I go and see them.
You should have been here yesterday. We could have included you to the competition we held.
But
But we can do a next one, so we don't mind. I think, so I'll change the angle maybe a bit, but space cybersecurity experts, where they come and how do we find them, or how do we grow it? So I think it's like with the physical sports. So the only way of having those experts and the expertise is start doing.
Yep.
So you cannot grow any muscle without doing anything with this. So you just have to start doing, and we have to start doing it. So let's start somewhere. Let's not overcomplicate it, because there's a long way before we get to the real complicated stuff. So let's just start doing it.
Absolutely, yes. Less talking and more doing.
Yeah.
Exactly. So we have a minute left
for doing. For talking. For talking. Let's stop talking in a minute.
But maybe just if I may add also, you brought this Florida as an example, but this is also possible in Estonia, and this is what we did yesterday. So we have the laboratory environments like the CybExer technology. The name of the technology is not that important, but the technology is there to do it also here. So we have it, we have the elements, we have the virtual machine, we have the capabilities of copying those labs, because you want to have a set of satellite for each student so that they all can have the same training experience. So we have the capability here in Estonia, so
great. Well,
good ground for that.
Absolutely. Well, perhaps we need to talk offline and get that element for the students coming through, definitely.
Yes.
So let's agree that every upcoming Estonian satellite has passed through your tests.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Yes.
Yes, we build virtual satellites and then we hopefully make them real as well. Then, yes. Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, guys. Indeed.